Welcome to Wisdom Wednesday. I'm Dr. Ben.
And I'm Dr. Susanna.
And we are both naturopathic doctors who empower you to heal yourself through the power of whole food, plant-based nutrition, as well as mind-body medicine. And today, on the Wisdom Wednesday episode of the Alter Your Health podcast here, we're going to be talking about struggling. And I really love what Dr. Susanna just came up with. Just came to her, it sounds like. The struggle is not real, because I think that there's like this saying that it's like, oh, the struggle is real. And then, like, everyone kind of identifies with that feeling of just struggling through stuff. And really, I would say that we also do, because we're human beings. But also we have had the experience, and I trust you have as well, moving through difficulties without struggle. So to some degree, struggle is not real and, in fact, optional. So we'll explore that a little bit.
Right. Yeah. And this topic came to be because I was reflecting on something that I had heard one of our mentors say just a few days ago, which is that whenever you find yourself struggling, you are probably thinking a lot more than you realize. And really, what this means is that, we might be going through a low mood. We might be going through a period where we feel some physical pain or something. And that is a natural part of being a human being. We can't go throughout life without having low moods from time to time or, symptoms from time to time. But the degree to which we suffer depends only on our state of mind and what we are thinking in that moment. And so, for example, I've been thinking about this a lot because, yes, I still have some back pain, and how there are times where I feel like I'm really struggling or I'm really suffering, even. We can take it to the next degree and say suffering. But when I remind myself, oh my gosh, the struggle is coming from my judgments of the pain. It's not coming from the pain itself. It's coming from the judgments of this pain isn't okay. There's something wrong. There's something wrong. Da 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 da. And generally, the same thing happens also when sometimes we find ourselves in a low mood, and rather than just feeling the emotions of being in a low mood, we also add on this layer of judgment that it's not okay. And that's really where the struggle comes from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, to me, I really visualize the layering phenomenon. It's like there's the baseline, just what is-ness of life. Like, we're in life, and it is what it is, right? It is what it is. And but and but and as human beings, we have a perspective, we have a perception, we have thoughts about the what-is-ness. So we're inherently going to be adding some layer of our perception into reality, into what is happening, and having our perspective formed based on the thoughts that we have in the moment. And so it's not really like there's I don't know if it's possible to dissolve the layer of our perception, but it's helpful to know what we're doing as human beings, projecting our perception through our thoughts into the what-is-ness of reality. And if we just realize that that layer is very ambiguous, it's very like airy fairy, doesn't have much meat and tangibility to it. It's not really there, because it's always shifting and restructuring based on our state of mind and our perception, which is shifting and restructuring moment to moment. So then, then it allows us to kind of see more clearly the true nature of the what-is-ness, without the again, like, our perception's always going to be there, but then we see our perception for what it is, and it's like, oh, we're creating this story that might not be true. Maybe nothing about it is true. The what-is-ness beneath the story, that's the truth. And on that level, sure, there's pain, sure, there's difficulty, sure, there's, the that there's that stuff. But the suffer, the struggle that we experience is only a factor of the layer that we impose on the what-is-ness of reality.
Right. Yeah, and to just go back to that quote, and the quote's from Dr. Dicken Bettinger, that if you find yourself struggling, you're probably thinking a lot more than you realize. I loved it. I loved it because it also touches on how innocently we can just slip into the overthinking and the judgment of what we're experiencing. How sneaky it is. How, it's like we don't even realize what we're doing. We don't realize that we're creating actually more struggle by judging and thinking and you know digging into our experience at the moment.
It's true. We don't realize it, but then we do realize it because the way that we are connected with life, we realize it through our felt experience, through our feelings, through the tension or the stress that we might experience in our bodies or in our psyche.
Right.
So that being sensitive to that, we're always talking about developing a deeper sensitivity and connection to our symptoms, to our feeling state, so that we can be more empowered as we navigate stuff and be proactive in life rather than reactive and subject to the outer life experiences.
Yeah. Memory just came to mind actually of about probably 5 years ago or so. Before we lived in Colorado, we came to visit your sister who lives in Gunnison. And Gunnison is one of the coldest places I have ever been to. It's normal for it to be below zero there.
Mhm.
And I remember walking around town, and I think, I just kept saying like, gosh, it's so cold. Oh my gosh, it's so cold. Brr, it's so cold. I just kept commenting on how cold it was. And I remember your sister turned to me and said, Susanna, it's okay to be cold.
I
And
tell you that all the
oh, I
time.
know you do too,
It's okay to
but this
be.
but I love it. I love it looking back at it because it's like, oh yeah, here's a more benign example, right, of just being cold. But of course, I was kind of in my verbalization of, oh my gosh, it's cold, in a way was kind of complaining about how cold it is, and like,
Yeah.
this isn't okay, this is wrong, like, it's not okay that I'm cold. But that gentle reminder of, it's okay to be cold, and we can apply that to lots of things. Like, it's okay to be sad, it's
Yeah.
okay to be angry, it's okay to have this symptom, it's okay to feel an increase in pain, it's okay. It's not gonna be permanent.
It makes me think about just that fine line between like thinking, and complaining, because complaining is a variety of thinking, and we can have thoughts that are not complaining in nature, but then we can slip into that complain state of mind. Um, and again, it's okay.
Yeah. So anyway, the name of this episode, that the struggle is not real,
Mhm.
we came up with this title because really the struggle isn't real. The struggle comes from our thinking, and thoughts in and of themselves are not real. Thoughts are really just formless energy. So in that sense, the struggle is not real.
It never is, and that's liberating, I think. It's because in any moment, and I love just I invite us all to reflect on the moments where, like, in the outer world, there's, the shit hits the fan, so to speak, and there's lots going on and we're overwhelmed and things are difficult, and then you're in it, and there's like a buoyancy, there's a trust, there's a surrender, there's a flow. And that's not to say that the outer world is like super easy and it's like, oh, everything's just okay. It's just okay. And we don't get there by just quote unquote positive thinking. We don't get there by just overriding the negative thoughts that we might spiral down to. In my experience, we get into that flow and into that surrender and that trust by allowing all of the thinking to just fade into the background. Not to not think, because I don't know if that's really possible, but to see thinking for what it is, which is that just kind of formless stuff that just flows through. And we are beyond that, above that, so much more than that. We are so much more than our thinking. So identifying more with our true nature and in the present moment, through which the thoughts arise and fall and flow, in that there's always clarity, despite, again, what's going on in the outside.
Hmm. And I just want to highlight this lovely comment from Chris that worry in hindsight has never been proven to help any of my situations. It was all in my mind.
I
Yeah.
love that's beautiful. And so many times we get questions like, oh, should I worry about this? Should I worry about this? And the answer is always no. And obviously sometimes people are like, oh, I've got, a fever or something. Should I worry about having a fever? And it's like, no. There's no reason to worry about anything ever. Like, that's always optional. That doesn't mean that if we have a fever that we don't do anything. We can be proactive. But worrying is that kind of slippery slope into the struggle bus. Is that a thing? The struggle bus?
I think that is a thing. Struggle bus.
So let the struggle bus pass you by and jump on the trust bus.
Easy train.
The easy train. Let the struggle bus pass you by and jump on the easy train instead. Cool. So any last announcements or comments?
Just that if you're interested in this type of conversation, you are welcome to join our weekly Peace on Earth program, where we meet every week in an hour-long Zoom call. We have more time to really dive into these topics in greater depth. And it's lovely to also hear your voice, see your face, hear your insights. And this community is just a space for us to all continue to deepen our understanding into really what causes or what creates the human experience in life. And you can join on a sliding scale for as little as $25 a month.
So go on over to altered.health/peace on earth to find out more. And we look forward to staying connected and seeing you guys next time, wherever that might be.
Bye for now.
Peace and love.